Heal the World Pranic Healing Center is a small group of pranic healers in Trivandrum under the Yoga Vidya Pranic Healing Foundation of Cochin. Our aim is to spread the teachings of Grandmaster Chokoksui, our teacher, and we are guided by Kurechan sir, who is the managing trustee of the Yoga Vidya Pranic Healing Foundation of Cochin. Today's topic is Character Building with Pranic Healing by Gauri Sethi. The more you develop your virtues, the stronger your connection to God will become. These are the words of our teacher, Master Chokoksui. Character building or development of virtues is the core of the teachings of pranic healing. The reason why some people are in trouble is because they have some character flaws. Problems could arise from lack of principle, lack of character, lack of integrity, lack of moderation, etc. So if you master character building, it shows that your soul is evolving. You will learn more about this topic from our dear speaker for today, Gauri Sethi ma'am. Gauri Sethi ma'am is the managing trustee of the Yoga Vidya Pranic Healing Trust of Lucknow. A compassionate pranic healer, she is also a successful entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in the fashion industry. She is an experienced director with a demonstrated history of working in the garment industry, manufacturing, exporting, and managing her private label overseas. She is also skilled in management, strategic planning, business development, business strategy, and leadership. A very strong professional, she graduated from the APJ School of New Delhi. Her mission is to spread spirituality and uplift society. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. I would also like to welcome our dear management trustee, Kurechan sir, and each and every one of the participants today who have taken time out from their busy schedules to attend this session. We will begin today's session with a short invocation prayer led by Kurechan sir, after which we will hand over the platform to Gauri ma'am. I hand over now to Kurechan sir to lead us in the invocation prayer. Thank you one and all. Atma Namaste.
Alma Namaste. Well said, Maya. She has talked everything about madam, and welcome everybody. I also joined with Maya to welcome our speaker, Gauri Sethi, managing trustee of Yoga Vidya Pranic Healing Trust, Lucknow, UP. Happy welcome, madam.
Thank you.
Okay.
Namaste.
And she told about the virtues of character building. So we'll learn and listen more from her directly. I'll not talk, I'll not waste the time. Let us have a small prayer. Please be aware of your heart and count. To the Supreme Being, Divine Father, Divine Mother, thank you for your great blessings. To our beloved teacher, Grandmaster Chokoksui, to Lord Mahaguruji Meli, to all the great ones, to all the Holy Gurus, Holy Masters, to all the saints, to all the archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers, angels of love, beauty, joy, and happiness, to my heart soul. Thank you for your great blessings, for your divine guidance, for your divine love and mercy, for the strength to continue with our spiritual practice, for illumination and divine oneness, inner beauty, for abundance and prosperity, for divine help and protection. Thanks and in full faith, with lots of gratitude, respect, and love. We thank you. So be it. We pray for like this class, a lovely one, a blissful one. Thank you. Thank you all. Namaste, everybody. And I welcome our Gauri Sethi madam to for this blissful session. Welcome, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me on this platform. I am really happy to be joined by all of you. And thank you for your kind words and the introduction. I'm a very simple person. I speak very simply from the heart, and I like to connect spirituality to your daily life. So I will give you very simple talk on the virtues. We have learned so much from our Guru Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui. You can see his picture behind me, and I like to tell everyone that he's got my back. He's always there to protect me and take care of me. And like I said, I'm a very simple person. I'm a family person. And what I've learned of spirituality has come to me very, very naturally. And I think I am blessed to be chosen by the Guru. Like they always say, the Guru chooses you. You do not choose your Guru. So we must remain open and receptive to these divine blessings. And believe me, the connection, when it's stronger to God and Guru, our virtues all automatically become stronger. So we don't need to be reading a lot of scriptures. We don't need to understand much. It will automatically come to us. So like I said, I am very simple. I will tell you in my basic words what I believe, and I will share it with you. And I'd be very happy if you would also like to share something with me. So let's begin with this. You know, when Maya spoke with me and she said, we are going to talk about character building with pranic healing. And I thought that what a wonderful thing that, what is character building? You know, it sounds very heavy, character building. And, you know, we get so, like, especially, you know, I connect a lot with the younger children, teenagers and youngsters these days when we see and we think, oh my God, what heavy words, character building. How are we going to build it? These are blocks. These are small blocks that we build like Lego. And before you know, the building and the structure is already standing there. How do we manage this? We need to start building when we are young. So when people say, I will get into spirituality once I am retiring or when I'm older, when I think and remember God, then we will start. That is too late. So if you remember, some of us who are a little bit senior, as in who have grown up children, we will remember that in school we were taught moral science. We were taught about our scriptures. If nothing much, we had Amar Chitra Katha to learn from, our Hindu mythology and other mythologies of different religions. We were given some information and some teachings. Today, unfortunately, all that is missing. Nobody talks of morals. Nobody talks of moral science. There is no, the moral behind the story given. Nobody is guiding the children. And yet everybody seems to be very, very smart. And what are they getting smart at? We need to question that somewhere, somehow. So what I feel that morals are something that need to be starting from preschool. When you're very small, like in school, they will say, do not lie, please speak the truth. But why so? So I took some classes with small children also, which was called Prana Kids. And I like to believe that the simpler we keep spirituality, the more useful it is, the more user-friendly it is. You know, these days everybody's looking for user-friendly phones, user-friendly laptops, user-friendly life. So why not make spirituality also user-friendly? Believe me, we are blessed and we are so lucky that we got a teacher or a guru like Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui. He was so smart, he was a genius. He realized that in this Kali Yuga, nobody is going to sit for hours and meditate. Nobody is going to go to the Himalayas and meditate. What do? Make a simple technique, hand it over to the modern man and say, this is your spiritual journey. So we have a little handbook. We have simple steps to move forward. Use that and go ahead. And what was that? Very simply, being more moralistic. And what is moralistic? Be a good person. Take the right decisions. Make the right choices. After all, karma is also that, making the right choices. When we make a decision, karma is what we get from what decision we take. How do we decide what's a right decision and what is not a right decision? It is a little, I won't even say tricky. Some people say it's a little tricky. It's not. It's just very simple. How would you like to be treated yourself? Keep that as a guideline. How would I like to be treated myself? That is how I will treat everybody else. If we keep that as a guideline, it just becomes very easy, very simple, and more user-friendly. So it's not so tough. It's very easy. Now, when we say that we make the right choices and how we would like to be treated, let's also remember what is the higher perspective. Is it only about me? I, me, myself? That's usually the mantra these days. I, me, myself. No, but we have to think of others. We have to feel good. And when we say the right person, we have to feel a little bit compassion also. How does that come into the picture? Have you thought about it? I really think very seriously about this. We are all in this pandemic era. We are all alive and we are seeking spirituality. Some of you are pranic healers already. Some of you are not. Some have just begun their journey. Some are thinking curiously of how to be right people. The very fact that you're in this session means that you want to know what's character building. What is being a good person? Why do we need to be good? Because somewhere in your heart, there is goodness. And yes, there is goodness in every heart. We just need to fine tune it a little bit more. Because these days, if we are too compassionate or we are very kind, people say, oh, kindness is a weakness. People are going to make a fool out of you. So then even if you want to help somebody, you suddenly put a break. So we need to understand a little bit that why are we doing all this and why should we be nice and how nice should we be? In this pandemic, we have lost many souls. We've lost dear ones. And the nature has somehow, it has unleashed its fury on humanity. Let's put it like this. Why did it happen? Because we thought that we are better than everything else and we must control it. We became too materialistic. We became too self-obsessed. And somehow nature started filtering. What is Kali? What is Pralay? We seem to be seeing it. But are we really seeing it? Are we learning from it? Are we understanding it? What has happened here? There is no talk of being virtuous. There is no talk of being moralistic. Kindness is looked upon as a weakness. Dishonesty is the mantra of the day. It works. Let it be. What is going on here? Somewhere down the line, we forgot about being nice. And we forgot about devotion to God. God is the supreme power. But today we rather say, oh, we are very scientific people. We're very modern people. The weak people turn towards God. I've heard that also. Have you heard that? And then we somehow decided that we are powerful. So nature has now put us in our place. When there was trouble, everyone turned towards God. And that is the way it should be. You can call him by any name, by any features, any look that you like. You can dress him up in your mind in whatever avatar you like, you connect with. That's okay. But it is the supreme power that we need to turn to. I always laugh and say, you are going to the pharmacy to get medicine. You're going to get oxygen cylinders. You're going to the doctors. You're going here, there. Why don't you just go to God? Just go to God. He will help you. And this pandemic taught us that nothing else works. It's only faith and prayers. It's almost like God is waiting for us to pray and call out to him and we forget. And then we say, God is not helping. But God says, I'm waiting for you to call me and I'll come. We need to call out to him. What is character building? Just like Maya mentioned just now, the stronger connection that we have with God will make us a better character. How? We will take the right decisions. When we lose connection with God, that is when we start making mistakes. All of you who've done pranic healing will understand. So, and the ones who've not done pranic healing, please do, because we will teach you how to scan and how to feel and measure each person's spiritual cord. We all have antennas connected to God. Do you know that? Most people think, no, I'm so lowly, I'm so bad, I'm such a sinner, I cannot be connected to God. It'll take me incarnations to connect to God. Good news is, we are all connected to God. We have forgotten that. We have our antenna, we have our ropeway going up to God. He's looking down at you, we forget to look up. The minute we look up and say, thank you, God, please help me, the connection becomes stronger. That little rope becomes a pipe and then a pillar of light. And the divine blessings come and help comes instantly. There was a small story that there was a flood happening in some place. And this man He was sitting on the top of his roof, his hut. He was sitting on the roof. He had his wife and children and bags and belonging. And he kept saying, God, send me, come down and help me, save me. I'm such a big disciple of yours, save me. So one little boat comes and says, come on, come, hop onto this, I'll take you. He says, no, no, you go. I will not trust you. I'm waiting for God. So that boat goes. Another little raft comes and that man says, come, jump on in my raft. I will save you. He says, no, I'm waiting for God. You go. And he keeps sending. Now, who do you think and who was sending those boats and those saviors? It was God. It's just that we didn't believe in that. We didn't have enough faith. That man didn't have enough faith, so he couldn't be saved. He drowned. We have to keep our antenna on. When we keep our antenna on, help comes. So in pranic healing, we have 5 virtues. They give us 5 simple steps to become better people. How do we become better people? Let's go over this one by one, right? So we have to begin with, it's called loving kindness and non-injury. You will notice that we have a yin and a yang. So yin and yang is, our soul also has a yin and yang, a personality also has a yin and yang, which means there are 2 aspects. One is that you become proactive, you do something, and one is that you are passive. You learn, you listen. You learn, you listen, you study, but you need to act upon it also. When you do that, then you have mastered the virtue. So let's look at this. Loving kindness and non-injury means you will be loving and kind to people. At the same time, you will also be non-injurious. It can't be that I'm loving and nice to some people that I like and I will be nasty or cruel to some other people that I don't like. Then I have neutralized it. What I was developing, a virtue of being kind, I've done it all wrong and I made it quick and negligible because I was nasty to somebody else. I'll give you an example. You will notice that some people, they are very nice to the people they know, their friends, they'll be very kind and they'll say such nice words and everybody will say, what a polite person, how sweet, they speak so warmly. After some time, you will suddenly see that they are very rude to their domestic help, their staff. And they don't realize it. They presume it's okay to talk to them. Just because that person is not in the same status or in a position to rebel or say that please don't be rude to me because you're paying him. Because you're in a position of a power, you think that it's okay to be rude to this person, which is not true at all and which is very wrong. You are nice to your friends or your relatives or your colony people, your neighbors, because you think they should not get a bad impression. But the minute it comes to a person who's a little less advantaged than you, you decided to be rude, to be cruel in words, in actions, in thoughts, because he cannot rebel or retaliate. That has nullified what you did as a nice person to your friends. You have ruined the whole thing, the effort that you made. So it is a balance. These are like 2 scales. You have to balance them. It can't be that one goes up and one goes down. You have to keep them together. If you are nice to some people, alongside, so it's something like I'm creating good karma by being nice to people, by kind to them. But also I have to neutralize the previous karma of being cruel to people. So I will stop doing cruelty anymore. Then I will have a good chunk of good karma and I would have developed that virtue. What would loving kindness mean? Loving kindness can be in thoughts, in words, and in action. Most of us will say that, we are very kind and we are not cruel at all. We don't go slapping people or hitting them. Little reminder to the mothers, please do not hit your children because it comes a little naturally. I have also done that. When my children were small, I also hit them. Then I would feel very bad. Then I would go running to them and say, I'm very sorry, I'm very sorry. And then the children would say, what's the point of saying sorry now? And you think, it's the child saying, but think about it, the child is right. That after you've done the action, what's the point of saying sorry? And if you didn't do it the next time, still it was worth it. If again you slap them, what's the point? The point is, and a lot of parents will say we have to do it to discipline our child. But you have to remember that everyone is here to teach us something. So are our children. They are also here to teach us something. We cannot practice cruelty saying that I'm doing it for your benefit. If they do not listen, then we have to, again, let them do it and then realize it. Sometimes it has to be like that and find different ways to discipline them. But you must understand, the biggest lesson they are getting is watching you. When you're being kind, so how does a wrong action happen? Think like this. There is a thought coming in my head that I need to control my child because he's doing this. Now, let's say he wants to play some music, but I think he should do maths. That must be his interest. His soul's calling that he wants to play music. He's very good at it, but I think maths is the right way to have a right career. So that thought keeps brewing in my head. Then I have to start using cruel words by telling him you are useless, you will never become okay, and you'll waste your life, you'll never have a proper career. Now these are cruel words which are having an impression on that young child. After some time, it manifests into a wrong action. That I lose my temper so much and I'm so rigid, thinking repeatedly that what he's doing is wrong, that I start hitting him. If you have a wrong thought, it will become wrong words and finally it will be wrong action. You have to now nip it in the bud. So let's say we are used to doing wrong action, we start going backwards. Even banging doors with anger, throwing phones or throwing things with anger are wrong actions. It shows their aggression inside. So reduce that. When you start controlling your physical action, then you will start thinking that, okay, I need to control my words also. What I'm saying, is it very harsh? You know what Grandmaster Choksui said, that what comes out of your mouth is more important than what goes in. Sometimes we say, oh, we are fasting, we are praying, I am very pure, I don't eat non-vegetarian food, I do not take contaminated food, I do fasting for so many days and all that. But when you're fasting and praying, and if you use cruel words, negative words for people, that is more harmful than what you put inside. Because what words you speak are loaded with, Master used to say, loaded with gunpowder. They can do a lot of emotional damage. What we say to people, say cruelly, they will not forget for many, many years. Think about it. If somebody was cruel and nasty to you, you will instantly remember. Let's say I don't like a person because they were very rude to me 10 years ago. You see that person, hear about that person, instantly that memory comes. What does it mean? That emotional damage takes very long to be healed. So control your words. And then once you start controlling your words, because you're used to controlling now, your thoughts will also start changing. Stop the thought that I cannot judge everybody. I'm not the judge. It is God who will judge. It is karma who will see what has to be done. Why should I? I will give my advice, what I think is right. But if the other person doesn't want to take it, it's all right. It is their journey. Every soul is directly connected with God. We like to take responsibility of the other person because it makes us feel important. Nobody has given us that power. Even our own children are children of God. They are independent souls. We cannot control them. So there is no justification of being cruel, whether it's in thoughts, words, or actions. We have to stop injuring people because they will remember. They will be hurt for years to come. If your heart doesn't grow big, how will your crown grow big? We have this beautiful meditation of Twin Hearts meditation, in which they say the key lies in the heart. And what is the key? You'll see a lot of Archie's cards. People give it to each other on Valentine's Day and many other days. And they write, the key lies in the heart. And I used to always think the key lies in the heart. Whose key? People mostly think it is the key of the heart of my sweetheart. It is not that. It is the key of the crown chakra in your heart chakra. So you have to remember that. The key they're talking. And most Western fairy tales, They're all based on spirituality. Even movies nowadays are based on spirituality. But in India, the movies are only based on a romantic story and then they end up finally marrying and that's all. But you must watch movies very, very carefully. Movies like Kung Fu Panda, movies like The Avengers, they're all based on spirituality. So must remember, next time you read a romantic art, the key to the heart is of the crown. Your own crown, the key lies in your heart. So open your heart. And how do you open your heart? By being kind, by thinking of a happy moment. Why do we say think of a happy moment? Because when we feel loved, we feel like giving love. We are kinder to people. So let's begin by giving love. Don't keep waiting for someone to come and give you love. Don't wait for someone to come and water your garden. Please water your garden yourself. You will have beautiful flowers in your garden. So start by giving love. Because when you give love, according to law of karma, you start getting love. And you will realize you're kinder. Most people who fall in love, when it's new love, the world seems so beautiful. Everything seems very happy. It's only after many years we say, oh yeah, whatever, it's okay. But initially they're all happy. So remember the time when you fell in love first. Life was very happy and rosy-eyed. We saw everything with the rose-colored glasses. So we need to feel like that. With the Twin Heart meditation, you become in a situation where you feel that you're every day falling in love. And who are you falling in love with? With God. So your connection is just like with your own dear one over there. You're constantly feeling happy because you're constantly feeling in love. You will be kind. So practice Twin Hearts meditation if you want to get that feeling. After that, we come to generosity and non-stealing. We need to be generous. And side by side, no stealing. How do we do that? Again, generosity is the same thing as being loving kind. Think about it. Be generous in your thoughts, in your words, and your actions. Now, somebody will say, what do you mean by being generous in your thoughts? If I decide that you are no good and I keep repeating in my mind, this person is trying to be a good swimmer, he's so useless, he's so weak, he'll never be a good swimmer. I'm criticizing him mentally all the time and I'm not generous in my thoughts. Then my words will ultimately come out and I will say, oh, you are no good. And then eventually the actions, you don't register, you're not good, somebody else will be better. You forget it. What have I done? Just made that person feel so bad that he probably will never try again. Ultimately, it results in cruelty. So we need to be generous. And then also with words, when somebody comes to us, first of all, in our mind, we should not judge them. We are not the judge. Nobody has given us this position, but we all have this self-appointed position of being a judge. And when we are judged, it's such a vicious cycle that when we are criticized by other people, we feel very bad when they're criticizing us. But we go to another situation, we will also start criticizing other people because we are used to being judged. So we feel, okay, now here I've got my chance. I was criticized, let's say at my work, now I come home and I start criticizing my family because I need to feel important. I need to feel empowered. So where do I take my frustration out? On the family. Oh, you are no good. What did you do all day? I came after a tired day's, whole day's work and look at you. What have you done? Now you're doing the same what you got in the office. Your family feels like, oh my God, why has this person come home? In Indian culture, we are very polite. We don't say all these things. But internally, you're feeling them. So it's a little strange. And I wish people would be a little bit more generous with their words. Then it would be nice. So you know what, when we pick things from the Western world, we need not say that all of it is wrong or all of it is right. We must pick the right things. For example, if somebody came home, they will say, hello, how are you? How was your day? It's such a sweet thing. It's very nice. So somebody comes home from work, after, let's say, your father, your husband, your brother, or your wife, your sister, the one who's waiting can always say, how was your day? How did it go? They'll feel so nice that, yes, they are trying to share my experience. Similarly, if somebody is feeling sad or low, ask them, what happened? Can I help you with something? They might not open up immediately, but I've always seen they come back and they say, yes, you know what, I need to talk. Bottling it inside will not help. So be generous with your words. Be generous with your actions. Some people ask me that, how do I do service? I don't know how to do service. It's very good to distribute food. It's, of course, fantastic to do healings. But let's say somebody is not a healer. How does he help? Pick up the phone when you know somebody is in a problem, talk to them. Give them a shoulder to cry on. That is also service. You have been generous with your time, with your affection. You have helped them sort out their problem. That is also service. You were available for them when they were in a low situation. They wanted to cry out. They wanted to discuss everything. They wanted to vent out their anger. You were there for them. So you were generous. Now, when you were generous with your words, thoughts, actions, what about non-stealing? When we're practicing generosity, we also need to be non-stealing, like we don't steal other person's, whatever belongs to the other person. What does that mean? So people will say, what a funny thing to say. We don't steal, we are not thieves. I agree. We are not thieves, we don't blatantly steal anything. But there are some little small mistakes that we make. What are those mistakes? Pirated music. People download pirated music. They download pirated books, information, intellectual property. That would be stealing. And some people will say, oh, that's a little thing, doesn't matter. It's there. Of course, if it can be downloaded, then that means it's available. Pirated CDs or movies. That means that that person who made the movie is not getting any royalty. He put in so much money to make the movie, but you downloaded a pirated version. He does not get the royalty on it. What is that? He lost prosperity. According to the rule of karma, what will come to you? You will also lose prosperity. You will have some financial loss. Would we want that? No, not at all. For just a movie or for some music, no. It's too risky. Please understand, law of karma works like that. So when people say I'm having a problem, it's because they made some mistakes, and they're usually small mistakes. They just keep adding. When you're used to taking down pirated music, you just keep doing it for years. Again, somebody stealing somebody's credit. Your subordinate made the report. You put your name underneath and give it to your bosses and say, I made it. You just stole intellectual property. You stole the credit of that person. On a very simple level, let's say you ordered some dish or some dessert from some lady who's making it at home, and you had guests over. So you got the food from there, presented it on the table, and when they say, oh, how nice, you cook this, you know how to make it. Oh, yes, I made it. You can simply say, a friend of mine does some baking or some cooking. I asked her to do it for me. And yes, she does it professionally. Why don't you also order from her? These days, you have so many online places to order from. So just think about it. It's a very small thing. But you stole the credit of that person. B, you made her lose prosperity by not giving. So if you give her number and she gets an order from you, you are giving her prosperity. What will you get? You will also get prosperity. So there are two things that you will benefit if you do this. You are being honest and you're giving a prosperity energy. But we make these tiny mistakes. We steal the credit. Then wearing fake designer things, clothes, bags, shoes, anything. So you be very careful next time you're doing this. That is non-stealing. Stealing somebody's spouse, attention of somebody's spouse, not giving that attention to your spouse. You have to be careful because the karma comes back. You don't know what you will lose, right? We don't want that. Then we come to accurate perception and correct expression. I love the way it's put. It sounds so intellectual. When you talk to people and say, accurate, there should be accurate perception and correct expression. Sounds very intellectual and heavy, very interesting. But it's very, very simple. When you see things in a very clear way, when you interpret it in a very clear way, you will say the right thing. And do you know how, you must have heard people saying that, I'm just very confused. I can't see what's happening in my life. I don't know what's going on in my life. I'm feeling very, as if the vision is very foggy. Have you ever heard that? Sometimes some people say that, what is happening here? what is the result of that fogginess and clouding of your vision? Non-honesty, dishonesty. When we are honest, when we never speak a lie, our vision is very, very clear. The bad karma of dishonesty is having your vision being confused. It's like a shadow or a fog coming in front of your eyes because you misinterpreted something to the other person. When you talk to people, you camouflage it. And then you say, it doesn't matter. You twist the fact. You are lying a little bit. And then you say, it's okay. This much is okay. Itna to chalta hai. How much is chalta hai? How much is okay? How much lie is okay? Who's going to give you that formula? How much percentage is okay? But when you lie, when you fog or cloud another person's vision, the karma of that is that your vision will get clouded. You will not know the right answers to your own life situations. How will you take the right decisions? So it's very, very important to be honest. And there are different perspectives. You have to be honest. There are different levels of truth. But please continue speaking the lie. And I'll give you a personal example. People say it's very difficult these days, and when you do business, it's very tough to keep speaking the truth. We have to use little bit lie. When you decide to speak the truth, believe me, all the higher beings, all the angels, all the masters help you, and you will not be in that situation where you have to lie. Then I newly decided that, I am never going to lie. So anyways, I never used to lie. I was to be very careful about it. But, like we say that, 2%, 3%, kahin pe, just now I'm getting into trouble. So let me cloud the vision of the other person. But once I got into pranic healing, I said, never, ever will I lie. When I decided that, so I'll give you an example. I got late at work. I was coming home and I was very scared that, my mother-in-law will get very angry with me that I have got late. What do I do now? If I reach, what do I tell her? That I got stuck in traffic or I had to go somewhere else? What will I tell her? And I was very scared. I said, now I'll get a scolding. I reached home and I kept thinking, I said, but I promised myself I will not lie. I will have to tell her I just stayed back at work. I had no work, but she will not understand. What do I do? I reached home. She was not home. She was not there. And I sat there, I freshened up, I ate something and I sat, and then she came after me. So she didn't even get to know I came late, and she just said, hello, how are you? I said, hello. And she said, I had to go somewhere suddenly. So I went and now I'm back. She didn't even ask me. This is a very small and simple example, but this is exactly what happens. If you're so scared and you are hell-bent that I will not lie, that situation will disappear. You will not have to speak to that person only. And not once, it's happened to me many times. When I'm scared that now I'm stuck, what do I do? That situation will not happen in which I will have to lie. So when we decide to follow the virtues, when we decide to be moralistic, have you seen some movie in which Shah Rukh Khan says that when you decide that you want this the most, the entire universe will conspire to make you get that or make you have that. And the ones who have not seen the Shah Rukh Khan movie can maybe see or understand, but the ones who have will know. And this dialogue that got very famous, but it's a reality. When you decide, all the higher beings are there to help you. So when people say that spirituality, how tough it will be, I always feel, no, it's not tough. When we decide to be spiritual or moralistic or good people, the higher beings are actually helping us. God is actually helping us. So we've got God on our side. We've got the gurus on our side. We've got the angels on our side. We've got all higher beings and masters on our side. We are bound to be successful. We can't go wrong. We just have to make that decision of being right. So it's all very easy. Then our whole perception will be cleared and we will say the right things. Believe me, when you say the right things, when you speak the truth and when you follow the virtue, your aura becomes very clear and sharp. For the ones who are not pranic healers, let me tell you what is an aura. It's a very fashionable word these days. Everybody says, oh, I don't like that person's aura. And do you even know what's an aura? Why are you saying such a thing? Then some people who are spiritual say, my aura is very clean. I'm a senior practitioner. don't contaminate me, please stay away from me. I find this hilarious because I feel if you're so senior, if your aura is so big, how can you get contaminated by anybody? According to me, your aura should be cleaning other people's aura, right? So aura, for the ones who don't know, is something like, this is my physical body, what you can see. I have an energy bubble around me. All of us are walking around in energy bubbles. You know, the tiny bubble when we were small, we used to get this soapy water and we would just do foo, foo in that and it made bubbles. Very delicate, thin, transparent bubbles like that. We have a bubble as big as we are around us, 1 meter away. The more we become good and moralistic, this bubble gets stronger and bigger. So, you know, energetically, if the bigger bubble you have a big aura, you're very proud and happy. Also, the bubble needs to be clean. When you meditate, the bubble gets clean. But also, even if you're not meditating, if you speak the truth, if you're kind, if you're honest, if you're generous, the bubble also gets clean. It's like when you wear glasses, when you have foggy glasses, you feel the whole world is so horrible and dirty, you only feel lethargic. The minute you clean your glasses, wear them again, the whole world seems very sharp and you get crisp and you're ready to go. It's also vice versa. When you're wearing dirty glasses, the other person who's talking to you will say, what a lethargic person, you know, this person can't deliver, he won't be sharp because he's so lazy, his glasses are dirty. The minute your glasses are shining and clean, the other person will say, what a crisp personality, he must be very intelligent, his glasses are so clean. So it's the same thing. Your aura actually is reflecting the other people also see you the same way. When your perception is clouded because you speak lies, when you cheat and you're cruel, the aura is like foggy. So they also look at you and they say, this person is, you know, I don't feel good with that person. But when it's clear and crystal, they say, can I sit with you a little bit longer? They don't know why they're saying it, and you also don't know why they're saying it, but people like to sit with you. They like to talk to you. And what you say, they immediately get it because it's sharp and clear and straightforward. We need to be honest. And then constancy of aim and effort and non-laziness. Again, I love the way the words are put because it sounds very intellectual. Even if we are not, doesn't matter. Our Guru has given us these little bites in which makes us look very intelligent. People get very impressed. What does it mean? But it's all very simple. Think about it. Constancy of aim and effort. Now we have loving kindness, we have generosity, we have accurate perception and correct expression. What do we need to do now? Constantly try to keep doing it. Don't lose hope. I want to be a good moralistic person. I want to be nice to people. I need to be honest. I need to be generous. But today I'm tired. Can I take a break? Try not to take a break. It's like when you're going to the gym. If you keep taking breaks, the body will not build. It won't show on your body that you're gymming. If I go to the gym once a month, do you think I'll have a good body? No. If I go every day only, then it'll show. Maybe if I go once a week, it'll still show something, but after many, many, many months. If I go every day, then the results will show. So your aura and chakra also build muscles like that. How? By just being moralistic, to have a good character building exercise. You're exercising your character building. You're building your muscle in the chakra, in the aura. Once you practice speaking honesty, even if you try, you cannot be dishonest. Once you practice being loving and kind, you cannot be cruel to people. You will not be able to utter anything cruel or nasty to anybody because you have developed. Your character is already built, but you have to continuously keep trying. You know, we are like onions. You have an onion, you peel it, another layer, another layer, another layer. We have to keep trying to get better. We have to keep trying and practicing these virtues. If we do constancy of aim and effort, and we are not lazy, we will surely develop. We have to keep trying to do that. It's not that I was honest for 3 years, now I will take a break. For 6 months, I will not be honest. How does it work like that? It doesn't work like that, right? Constancy of aim and effort. And then moderation and non-excessiveness. If I do not practice moderation, which means I am excessive in things, How can I practice honesty? How can I practice generosity? How can I be kind to people? How can I be nice to people and helpful to people? Because I like excessiveness. Now, one thing is there, do not misunderstand excessiveness. Excessiveness means when I misuse something excessively. It does not mean that if you are rich, you are not spiritual, or a rich person cannot be spiritual. A lot of people misunderstand that. They feel money is bad. That's not true. Money is not bad. It is how you use money. If I have money and I use it to practice vices, if I use it in bad things, then money becomes bad. But if I use money in good things, money is a power. It's an energy. It's making it easier for me to help others. In today's date, it's energy. In the olden times, when we went to a guru or a gurukul, they used to give their guru fruits and grains and did service for them to repay them for their knowledge. Today, energy exchange is money, right? So money cannot be bad. Money is there as a result of your good karma, in fact. You were generous in your previous incarnations. That is why you have got lots of money in this incarnation. But now the point is you will use it to help others. You will give back to society. You will do good karma. You will be generous to people. That will get you, in fact, even more money. But if you use it to spoil yourself, be excessive, buy 200 dresses when you need, how many do you need? Again, that's a very, it's a very objective way. Everybody has different needs and wants, but somewhere you need to draw a line. If you keep using money to just please yourself and you are getting vices in return, that is misuse. So there has to be moderation. How much can a person eat? How much can you spend on food? How much can you spend on clothes? How much can you spend on cars? So there can be a line drawn. Everything should be in moderation. Now you have to understand, there are people who will make money. You will get more and more money and they'll say, no, I have to eat out every day. I have to order food from outside. I will drink and I will do all these things excessively. And then in the later years then they start getting sick. Then they're using that money to pay their hospital bills. So you earned money to pay hospital bills. It's better that you practice moderation, did not get sick, have a long life, be nice to people, be generous, and do some charity. Pay some money for somebody's treatment. Pay some money for somebody's education. There are various ways of being generous and kind to people. That will only happen when you practice moderation. You decide, you make a budget of what you need, how much you need of everything. And then you save money for, like they say that when you save for the rainy day. And what's the joke? That the Arabs are very rich because it never rains there. So you keep saving for the rainy day and it never rains. No, but that's a lighter note. In reality, you must save for the difficult time. And everybody has some difficult time or the other. Who can say that all times are same? But after taking care of your needs, after your savings, take some amount and you must do charity. Charity is something that you must do even if you have less. The intention should be there. It's not necessarily the amount has to be very big. What you have compared to you, if you do 10% of charity, that is how you build good karma. That is how you're being generous to people according to karma. Generosity is coming back to you. Prosperity is coming back to you. So again, in the Middle East, people are very rich. Do you know why? Because on the first day of the month, they go out, there is a line outside the mosques and they give lots of money to them. They do because their religion tells them. Again, I will say one more community I have seen that the Sikhs, they also do a lot of charity. They do a lot of service in the gurdwaras. They are even sweeping the floors, picking up shoes, even if they're very rich people, because their religion has taught them. They will do service. They'll first give money there. You will not see any Sikh beggar. this is something to just notice from different people and different community. I like to analyze and notice and watch and learn. You will never see a sick person who's a beggar or a thief. It's very, very rare. You ask anybody in North India, any lady going out, like, they say Delhi is unfortunately the rape capital and very dangerous for women to walk out. Hopefully things are getting better now, but still it is scary to walk out at night. But if somebody sees a sick person, any woman you ask, they will feel safer to talk to him, to ask him for a help. Because those people are following moral guidelines. They're doing character building because their religion has taught them. And they still follow it because it's simple. Unfortunately, majority of Indians, because they are being so influenced by outside influences, they say, oh, to follow religion is something very old-fashioned, very primitive. We need to be modern, we need to be scientific. My humble request to everybody, we need to be scientific, we need to be modern, but where does it say that do not follow moral guidelines, character building? Where does it say that stop having faith in God? Don't get into rituals, but remember the basics. We have to do character building because that is what separates us from thinking what is wrong and right. This is what separates us from a wrong person and a good person. If there are no moral guidelines, if there is no territory defined for everyone to behave in, we will not have a society. We will go back to the times when we were all cannibals and primitive people and almost like animals. Even animals we train, don't we? Then why should we not train our children, train our youngsters, the new youth in some moral exercise? Character building is of extreme importance. It is irrelevant which country you belong to, which religion you belong to, which faith you belong to, how educated or uneducated you are. You could be very educated and still lack morals. Character building is extremely important because it demarcates what kind of a human personality you are. We all just need to be good people end of the day. That automatically brings us closer to God. That automatically makes us spiritual. Spirituality is not reading books. It's not doing meditation. Spirituality is simply tapping into the goodness of you. You have to have goodness in you and you tap into it. You will feel compassion, love, kindness towards others. That's all there is. If you're a good person, you're a spiritual person. It's that simple. No complication here. You follow that and just imagine if everybody's good charactered, moralistic, kind, gentle, there'll be peace. What will happen to the politicians? Everybody will love each other, be kind, be forgiving, being loving. Kindness means being forgiving. And there will be no war. People will help each other. There'll be no stealing. There'll be economic growth, trade between countries and continents. There'll be more education because there's moderation. There'll be enough supplies. It'll be a very rich, wealthy earth, peaceful earth, heaven on earth. We will have heaven on earth if we are all moralistic and good charactered people. The answer is very simple. We just need to be aware of what we are doing, have the right decision, have our decisions from the right perspective or the higher perspective. People say, oh yeah, let's wait for the world to get better. I say, start from you. And I really, really believe that if I'm doing the right, nobody will do wrong to me. Nobody will do wrong to me. Maybe somebody can be a little bit rude because they're a young soul, but so what? You forgive them. It's okay. If I practice forgiveness today, maybe somebody else will forgive me tomorrow and I'll be blessed. That's how we will have heaven on earth. That is the divine purpose of our soul. People ask, they say, what is the purpose of the soul? Very heavy topic. I think it's very simple. Purpose of my soul is to be a good person here, to make earth a happier place. That's it. Your purpose is not your vocation. Please remember, a lot of people think my purpose is to be a good architect, a good doctor, a good teacher. That is your vocation. That's how you earn money. That is how you feed your family. That's your work. That is not the purpose of your soul. The purpose of your soul is just to be a good person. Somebody that the higher beings can look down and say, that's a nice person helping others. Let's send him more divine blessings. So this antenna of ours, we will automatically get divine blessings. And it will go out to other people. It's just a connection. That is the purpose of our soul. So that's it, Maya. I think that's my take on character
So much,
building.
ma'am. Really. Now I invite Preeti to say a few words. She's one of the organizers.
Atma Namaste, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful session. Thank you for sharing your vast knowledge on these virtues and how to practice these virtues in real life in a very simple manner. And we are all blessed to have this wonderful session. And I'm also thanking all the participants who find some time in between their tight schedules to know what more about pranic healing and how to build their good character. I really appreciate their enthusiasm. Thank you all for your time and effort. I again thanking Madam for spending your time for us and accepting our request to conduct such a lovely talk. And there is one more thing to tell. In between this pandemic situation, a lot of classes are happening online and offline about pranic healing. So if you are a pranic already, you have done pranic healing classes. There are much more higher classes are there. Many classes are happening around you. And there is also some online classes are arranged, and there are a whole lot of free sessions are available now, even from masters. So please do attend all these sessions, and it will definitely benefit you and also your family. Please tell your dear ones and your friends about these courses, and please encourage them to attend these courses, and it will be by spreading this pranic healing we can make a better generation around us. Actually, thank you all for your time. Thank you, ma'am. If you want to know more about the courses, you can please contact any of us, or you can go to the website worldpranichealingfoundation.com to find courses around you in your area. There are a lot of details are available in that website, and you can also participate in group meditations that are free, and there are different sessions. You can choose your own session according to your convenience. From early morning to night, there are different sessions on meditations on Twin Heart, which is a very powerful meditation. Please do attend that meditation also. Thank you all for your kind participation.
Alma Namaste. Thank you, Gauri Sethi Madam. That's your beautiful, nice, very simple way of that difficult, that all. In a very, very, very simple way, you are told about to become a new, nice person. That is the essence. All character building. That very simple way you have stated it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
With a short prayer, you can end it. Can you make it? Short prayer.
You want me to do the
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
the closing invocation?
Closing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. So, hands on your heart. Please put your hands on your heart. For the ones who are not pranic healers, when we put our hands on the heart and we say namaste, we are actually activating a heart chakra. So when you do this, so I'll give you an example. If you're angry, try to put your hands together like that in a namaste position. You will not be able to do it. And if you manage to do it, your anger will completely be gone. Because when we do this, we are literally balancing all our chakras and our aura, the yin and yang, and we are becoming humble and our heart gets activated. We will not remain angry. So next time you're angry with somebody, just try to do this. So put your hands on your heart, close your eyes, put your tongue to the palate, keep it up touching the cave of the mouth. So do that, close your eyes, focus on the top of your crown. So let's inhale, exhale, and just center ourselves. Silence yourself, feel the peace. Let's focus on the top of our heads, top of our crowns. We shall invoke to the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, Master Choa Kok Sui, because we are learning his teachings right now, his Guru, Mahaguruji Meling, all the holy Gurus, holy saints, all the great ones, all the healing angels, healing ministers, and all spiritual helpers, to the angels, to all the spiritual helpers. We thank you for these beautiful teachings. May we understand them. May we assimilate and use them to use and help heal our lives and the lives of our loved ones. Thank you for the abundant blessings of good health, happiness, peace, prosperity, joy, and spirituality. Thank you for blessing us with accurate perception and correct expression. May we be able to assess and study our lives, to understand our lessons with humility. May we be able to take the right decisions in future, to move ahead in our spiritual journey. May we always be aligned with our higher self, with the Supreme God, taking the right decisions at the right time. May we always be divinely protected. May our families be divinely protected with these beautiful blessings. May we share these teachings. May we share these virtues with others. May we become kind with a generous heart. May we be honest. May we be practicing good words, actions, and speech with others. To spread love and light, may we become role models for others to follow. May we spread happiness by being in a situation wherever we are. May people feel peace and be healed with our presence. May we become little channels of God Himself. May we become role models of being spiritual with easiness, with humility, with enthusiasm, with happiness and joy. May we spread love wherever we go. May the whole earth be peaceful, joyous, and be healed. May all sentient beings be healed. May there be love and light everywhere. May all those people who are suffering from coronavirus be healed. May any other Delta variant that is coming be evacuated, completely eradicated from Mother Earth. May the people who are suffering be healed on all levels. May we all be healed spiritually. May we all understand the higher purpose. And may we all strive and be synced in with the divine plan to make Earth a happy, peaceful place. So be it, so be it, so be it. With deep gratitude, tremendous respect, and lots of love. Now inhale these blessings and exhale any physical discomfort or pains or aches that you might have. Inhale the blessings and exhale any stress, irritation, sadness that you might have. Visualize little gray clouds coming out of your aura and being sacrificed to the physical sun. Inhale the blessings of peace and joy. Any doubts, inhibitions, or fears, just release them. These are not mine, I don't need them. I'm a child of God. I'm connected with God. I'm connected in one with everyone. All the negativity is being released from your aura and being put in the physical system. The aura is getting brighter and brighter, lighter and lighter. May God and Master's blessings be upon you. So you can open your eyes with a big, big smile. Atma Namaste.
Atma Namaste.
Thank you so much for inviting me here on this platform. It's been very, very pleasurable and joyous, and I'm very happy to be with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Such a lovely prayer. It was like a meditation and explaining spirituality so simply. It's like you made it so easy to follow all the 5 virtues.
Easy.
It's amazing. It's so nice to attend your session, Sorry. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, it was really wonderful. With very simple, clear. The clarity was very evident in the way you talked. So nice it was. Loved hearing you speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Really,
much.
ma'am, thank you so much. And such a lot of clarity has come. We did erratic, but was not so clear, all the pillars. Now it is like, oh my God, yes, we are doing this. So it has to be like this. Thank you so much. Now I can explain to our erratic friends, or erratic yogis. See, this is like this. We have to do. Thank you so much.
You know, that is the whole idea, that we can tell other people that it's very easy, you can do it. Because usually what happens is that everything is made to be so complex and so serious. So that's why people get worried. They said, oh, spirituality, I have to be serious, I have to give up things. Not at all. You just enjoy life. According to me, spirituality is liberation and freedom and empowerment. We don't have to be apologetic about anything. We are empowered. And we are blessed to have a guru who makes us empowered. We have magic in our hands. What do we need?
Yes.
We need to heal. And I think pranic healers, being available in the COVID times, have a technique in their hand which can be done distantly. This was all destined to happen. We have a technique in which we can heal people distantly, where you cannot go near people and you still heal them. We have to do work. We have to spread the light. We have to spread the love. And we have been doing it. I know lots of pranic healers. We have all been healing COVID patients with miraculous results. So we must spread Master's teaching. The way of giving back is to spread our Guru's teachings and his work. If people get healed, that's what we need.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for you send those videos of yours.